Hello and welcome back to another daily draft video here. We open our first pack. There's a lot of really interesting cards in this one. The first one is the Tranquil Sweetheart here, which is kind of a really powerful bomb. Quick troop that's a 3/5 that whenever it deals damage it gets +1/+1 permanently. But the start of each turn it transforms into the Wrathful Sweetheart, which is a 5/3. It says whenever this deals damage, draw a card. And then at the start of the next turn, it turns back into a Tranquil Sweetheart. So basically, if you flash this in on your opponent's turn, it's going to be a Tranquil Sweetheart in their turn, and a Wrathful Sweetheart in your turn, and vice versa if you play it on your own turn. That's kind of just a bomb, so I could see us just taking that. Sacred Stance is the start of a really powerful conscript deck. Whenever you conscript a troop, all troops you control in your hand get +1/+1. We also have Draka Outcast, another really good tool here for conscript decks. Rift Spasm's another card that is a start of a powerful archetype in itself, and Chastise is just like really quality diamond removal in the format. It kills a lot of things that you care about. I'm gonna go ahead and draft a bomb though. I haven't drafted a ton of wilds, so let's get a feel for what this ends up looking like here. And pick two. Alright, so as far as wild cards go in this pack, we've got a Sparkle Cap here, which is a 2/1 socketable miner for 2. Arcane Soil is a wild Sapphire card that draws 2 cards and then makes a Dreadling for each card in your hand. It's a little bit of card advantage, kind of powerful, but I don't think Sapphire Wild is that powerful in this limited format. It would also be like picking a second 5-drop seems kind of loose here. Other cards that are like reasonable and playable in this pack is the Yazukan Fanatic. It gets invincible whenever you conscript Underworld Troop, so if we maybe want to move into a Blood Wild conscript deck, the Yazukan Fanatic could be reasonable. It's also just like a 1/1 with Rage 1, which is okay, so if you get some combat tricks you can protect it and kind of close quickly. Razor Edge Duelist is a plenty playable diamond card, 2/2 for 2, that Diligence gets +1 power and Swift Strike till the start of your next turn. I think I want to pick the Fanatic or the Duelist here. Both of these are pretty good supporting colors. I think the diamond cards in general are a little bit higher power level in this set than the blood cards. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the Duelist here. Hopefully we don't regret that. And like we're not committed to anything in particular right now. Only 2 picks in, so we're gonna try and get a feel for what other people are doing and what may or may not be open based on the next few packs that come our way. So we got a Cloudbounder in this pack, which, if you've seen me draft before, you know I really like this card. It's a 3/3 Mobilize Flight for 5, so if you have a 2-drop, you can play this out on the 3rd turn of the game as a 3/3 flyer. Call of the Deepwood's a pretty powerful card. It's a 4 cost that either conscripts an Ardent or Underworld Troop of cost 5 and puts into play, so it like gives you a random 5-drop for the cost of 4, so probably a good rate on average. I think I'm just going to pick this up. Pretty happy to play Call and Tranquil Sweetheart in the same deck, I think. So, and this also like gives us potential to like move into a conscript deck of in Wild, either the Diamond Wild conscript deck or the Diamond or the Wild Blood conscript deck. If like the Sacred Stones wheels back around to us, we'd be pretty happy to have taken this Call at the Deepwood, especially if we get a couple other conscriptors in the mix. Up next. So this pack doesn't really have like Sparkle Cap is like kind of playable. I guess if we're in Diamond Wild, we could put the Flight Gem in this, and this would be able to be a 2/1 flyer for 2, which that's not completely unreasonable. It doesn't block flying guys, but obviously it attacks in. It's pretty poor against 8 of those since it only has 1 toughness. Other playables in this pack are Skittering Cultivator, Webborn Apostate, Cloudbounder. We could just like pick up the Strangle and move into Blood. Like this is 4th pick, so that means the people that have passed this pack are not in Blood. And like try and get the Blood Wild deck. I think I'm actually gonna pick up the Strangle just because it's pretty premium removal. The Mosh Pit Gladiator is the only thing that makes me kind of hesitant to pick this up, because this is a playable blood card and I'm passing that, so that means it's sending the message that blood might be open. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Strangle here and not be committed to either of these 2 shards just yet. Kind of wish we would have picked up the Fanatic, but, you know, it's impossible to know if we're going to see, you know, Strangles or Cheap Shots or Chastises and, you know, Vanquishes. This pack's got some reasonable cards in it again as well. We have Skittering Cultivators, another good one. Feed the Flames is a reasonable card if you're in Ruby. Pretty sure we're not in Ruby in this draft. Mosh Pit Gladiator is a 5/1 for 4. We saw this in the last pack with a minor socket. And one of the blood gems is this can't be blocked by troops with power less than it. So you often put that in here, and then it just can't be blocked by things that have less than 5 power. So it's essentially unblockable. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up this Mosh Pit Gladiator and kind of move into Blood Wild for now. Just kind of... Oh, that was the wrong one to hide this guy. Not this one. Alright, so as far as this pack goes in Blood Wild, there's also not any particularly good diamond cards in this. We're seeing a lot of good sapphires, so maybe we should have moved in on that. I don't think Withering Gate is particularly playable in this limited format. It looks at their hand and takes a non-resource, non-troop card, so this is just going to miss a lot of the time. There's a lot of tricks in this format, but I think the liability on this card is pretty high. This is only pick 6, and if you get a couple of Relentless Zombies, these are kind of a gamble. So Relentless Zombie says whenever another Relentless Zombie or Voracious Zombie comes into play under your control, if this is in your crypt, you bring it back. If you can get 1 to 2 Voracious Zombies in pack 3 out of set 5, it's really good. So I'm going to pick up this Relentless Zombie because it's like the best card in this pack. I don't think Snarling Brave is particularly good, and Potent Puffball is kind of clunky. We already have 2 4s, so I'm going to grab the Zombie. Maybe we'll hopefully see some more of those. This is pretty great. So I think we're going to move into... This card's just very powerful and limited. It's a 5-drop that conscripts 2 Underworld troops when it comes into play, and it's a 4/3. So it's basically a 3-for-1 most of the time. So that pretty much locks up our top end here. Feeling okay so far. Every time I don't draft Sapphire or Diamond in this limited format, I feel like I made a mistake, but so far this is shaping up pretty well. A few different reasonable cards here. Playables that are not on our shard. Skyspire's Call and Razor Ridge Duelist are both fine. Explosive Interlude is a medium card. Playables on shard for us, however, are Necropolis, Garroter, the Archaea Glider, the 2/2 flyer, and Turbulence, I think, is actually plenty playable. There's enough flyers in this format that's reasonable even in the main deck, and you definitely want it in your reserves for against the diamond decks. I think I'm going to grab the Garroter, though. It's just like a 2/2 for 2 that diligences into lethal, so it can often trade up. Once it starts attacking, it keeps attacking since it has lethal. So Underworld Oppression is a 5 cost that opposing troops get -1/-1 for each Underworld race among troops you control. I think this is a little bit narrow. Feral Root Tactics gives a troop +4/+4 this turn. If it's Valorous, it gets Crush. I don't know that we're going to have especially many Valors, but like I think 1 Feral Root Tactics is definitely playable. There's nothing else in here. I guess Silencing Sneak is fine. Scrounge 2, destroy target opposing constant. Maybe I'm in the market for that. I'm going to snake that up. I think there's enough people that play constants in this format that's worthwhile. Nothing in this pack is particularly exciting for us. This card's like okay, but I really feel like we want our 5s to do more than this card does. I think we're just taking something out of... None of these cards are even particularly playable. I'm going to grab the Friar Tusk because I think this or Revision are the 2 like objectively best cards in this pack. And this, like, on the off chance we like open a Diamond Bomb and want to pivot out of one of these shards, we can, but I think we're pretty firmly invested in these 2. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Arachno Glider here. Not a particularly impressive card, just like a 3/3 flight for 2. The Double Blood Threshold's kind of a downer, but like we're planning to play this Strangle anyways, right? So we can probably cast this reasonably, a reasonable amount of the time. Man, the diamond coins came back around. I'm gonna grab this. I guess Sparkle Cap's not very good if we're not in diamond, right? Because what are the sockets this has? It has speed. It has can't be blocked by troops with power less than. It has +1 and crushed. It has Skyguard Steadfast. Yeah, I'm just gonna take these coins from someone else that are hoping to get them. Make someone else's deck slightly less consistent. This is kind of an interesting pick. The Fury Smasher I like. I really hate X1s at the 2-drop in the format because they can't block Dreadlings. I think Shadowblade Slicer is like a fine piece of top end. Scrounge 3, target opposing troop gets -3/-3 this turn, so it's like a 3/3 flyer that can, like, kill something in the mid to late game. I'm gonna grab the Snarling Brave. I don't know if we're actually gonna play it. On Diligence gives you +1 temporary resource for the turn. That seems fine. We got like 10 theoretically playables here, so already like well above pace for having the 22 or so playables we want. Look at that. Monsagai coins on threshold coins here, third to last pick. That's exciting. Another Snark. I don't think I want another Sneak. And I'm going to hate pick this Scholar here. Although, if the Scholar came this far around, there's probably no one in it. That's kind of sad. Maybe one of the few drafts I don't force Sapphire cards go late. Huh. I think we just play this as a bomb, right? It's a 4/6 for 5. At the start of your turn, your charge powers get -2 to use. Seems real good. We're probably playing Renner or... oh, geez. I guess if we played Shoku, we could do it at every turn. After one pit. There's also a lot of other cards in this pack that are pretty reasonable. Draka Outcast, we already have a kind of a subscript comp theme going on. Battle Preparations is good in the conscript deck if we get some things that matter. Mosh Pit Gladiator is a playable card. We already have one of those. Crossing Swords is reasonable removal in our colors. I'm just going to take the Bastion because it's a sweet bomb. But hopefully Garden, Battle Prep, Draka, Mosh Pit, or Crossing Swords. Hopefully one of those is going to come back around to us here. I mean, you know, there must have been a really good uncommon in this pack, but we're gonna draft the Vampire Queen. What are other cards worth noting in here? Ruby and Diamond's Favor are like playable. Feed the Flames playable. Chastise is reasonable. Would love to see a Mosh Pit Gladiator come back around. I don't think we need another 5. I hope we get it. If we get like 1 to 2 more coins, this is probably gonna be a 19 shard deck with all the top end that we have. We got a lot of bomby top ends. You know, a lot of my Sapphire Diamonds decks don't play a lot of rares, and like now we're on 2 rares and a legendary here already, so maybe the Shadowblade Splicer we don't want to play. It depends. We need to flesh out. We need some more 2s and 3s here, but man, our top end is boom boom. Fatty boom boom. So we were just talking about wanting some more early plays. I think this is one of the better cards in Wild in the format. It's a 1/1 for 1 that deploys conscripts a Underworld Troop of cost 4. Just like very reasonable. Hopefully we can find a conscripts matters card or 2 before the end of this pack. But just like happy to get a 1-drop here that also generates value in the late game. You're not sad when you have to like trade this off with something random or just use it to jump block because it created you a 4-drop. This card is very, very reasonable. And Constructed playable. We were playing this in the Blood Wild Conscript deck. I've been playing in Constructed. Looking for more cheap troops. This card is very good. It's a 2/2 Crush for 2 that Diligence gets +1/+1 permanently. So every time you're ready with this guy, he gets bigger and scarier. And also, you know, because we have all this, you know, awesome top end here, we do just want some cards on the lower curve here that can just, like, trade aggressively with the things our opponents are doing, so that way we can preserve our life total a little bit and survive to get to our top end bombs. What do we have going on here? Man, this pack's great for us, too. These are 3 really good uncommons, and I'm sad probably none of them are going to wheel. The Monk is a 3/3 for 3 that says Diligence. This gets +2/+2 its Spell Shield to their next turn, so like once this starts exhausting, it turns into a 5/5 with Spell Shield, which is just like really tough to deal with in Limited. That being said, we've seen a couple of Shadowblade Slicers wheel, or go around for probably going to get another one back. I think I want to take this Probed Warp Hair. It's a 5/5 for 3 at the start of your turn. You summon a Dreadling, and this gets -1/-1. So it's kind of a bomb in the early game. It like brick walls your opponent's early aggression, and then it feeds your Scrounge later for things like our Slicer. Not to mention it's just like the type of card that can like kill your opponent all on its own. So we've got a Furious Smasher here as well as a Battle Preparations. We also have a Till the Soil, though. Gallant Sentinel's a reasonable card, but our curve's already kind of high. The fact that our curve is high kind of makes me want to grab this Till the Soil. Just like accelerating up here is super reasonable. And like this could make it so playing 18 shards isn't completely unreasonable in this deck that has so much top end. So yeah, I think I'm going to grab the Till the Soil here. Just because of how high our curve is. Also, like, turn 3 Mosh Pit or turn 3 Call of the Deep Woods pretty good. Hopefully we see another Mosh Pit Gladiator come back around. So, this would be good if we had the... I guess this is like a payoff for Conscript, right? How many Conscript things do we have now? We have 1, 2, 3. Whenever you Conscript a troop against the socketed powers of this, so we could put, like, +1 power and crush on this. I think I want to just grab the Necropolis coins, though. We already have, like, theoretically 16 playables, and I think the second coins means we can solidly just play, like, 19 resources and not feel very bad about it. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Sentinel here. Even if we don't main deck this card, it's very reasonable against the Ada Flyers deck, and we'll probably board it in at some point. Yep, we're up to 2 coins and 17 other cards. So like, we need like, if we're playing 19 resources, or we only need a very few number of playables left. I don't think we're playing the zombie. We haven't gotten another one. So the Draka Outcast, I've got 1, 2, 3 things that conscript. This is probably fine. There's a 1-2 that gets bigger every time we conscript something. We're also, because our curve is heavier, like having early plays to make is pretty reasonable. Crossing Swords is like pretty good removal. I guess we are kind of light on removal, aren't we? Yeah, I'm going to take the Crossing Swords, actually. I feel like we just don't quite have enough conscripts for the Draka. Which, watch us like get past 2 more conscript cards now, but I think we need to prioritize the removal here. Especially with like our Probed War pair. Like, we have some things that can reasonably fight. I'm not really interested in playing another Sneak or Basilisk or Rose Kitten or Centipede, so I'm just going to road draft this Ruby's Favor, actually, because they're like 100 platinum still. It's a 4 of constructed decks. Just grab that extra rare to pad the winnings a little bit. We've already got, you know, a few playable rares here that are sellable, but there's nothing else playable in the pack and nothing we really want to cut. Just, you know, grab the extra 50 cents or whatever. Man, both of these coins came back around. And another Ruby's Favor. Alright, you know. Draft the cards you're dealt. See what we get in our last pack here. Hopefully we see another piece of removal or 2 in this last pack. Blood removal, ideally. Crackling Clash isn't particularly good in this deck. We don't have a ton of big things. I think Sanguine Boon might be fine. Target troop gets 2 on and life drain until end of turn. It's a type of card that can, like, randomly let you win in combat and, like, jump up and kill your opponent for the last 2 points of damage. And it can also really swing races, because in addition to sneaking through those last 3 points of damage, it can, wow, the Azucan Fanatics came back through. Yeah, sure, I think. Yeah, it's like another reasonable 2-drop. We're really not going to get any more conscript cards. We only have 3 of them, but it's like a 1-1 rage for 1. I think that's fine. A lot of times people have slower starts in these formats, so if they have a slower start, this card can really punish them. Like, if it gets in 5 points of damage, it's probably reasonable. I don't have anything that makes Valors, right? I actually have one thing that makes Valors. Alright, I'll grab the Earthcaller Apprentice. Like, not super impressive. If we get, like, 1 or 2 more, we get, like, a couple of Spring Dancers in the next pack. Like, Apprentice Earthcaller could be reasonable. Just, like, Cantrip of Valor if we can have, like, 3 or 4 cards that make Valors. I'm gonna grab the Thrashodon. I don't think we're gonna play it, but, you know, again, like I've said a lot, you're usually not hurting for playables in these drafts, so... You know, we realistically have a playable deck after 2 packs. Last one gets to be all gravy. Unplayable 1, unplayable 2. What does this do? It's a 3/3. Another socketed troop gets 1/1. Yeah. I wonder if there's a sweet sockets deck in this draft format that I just haven't been able to find yet. I haven't gotten past the tools open. On color bomb, on color bomb, on color bomb, on color bomb. Well of purpose. Let's do what we always do and find out if it's worth rare drafting. Christy already has her set of those. But rare resources are rarely a bad pickup. Yeah, it's a couple bucks. Is that worth taking over anything else in here? I kind of like Stinkhorn. It's a 1/1 lethal for 1. It just like usually trades up for us. I don't think we ended up getting enough Relentless Zombies to make Voracious Zombie worth picking here. Yeah, nothing in here really jumps out at me being particularly powerful in our deck. Like Lava Shaper's an ace. Yeah, I'm just going to snake the well. If there was like a piece of quality removal in there that was on shard for us, I'd easily take that over the well, I think. But without there being anything particularly powerful that we're guaranteed to play, I think I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, grab 200 platinum. So, even if we don't win any matches this draft, we did good picking cards. This is a couple bucks, and this is a couple bucks, and this is something. I don't know, probably. I think this card's restricted playable. I really want to work on more decks with this card. It's a really powerful effect. One thing we're doing is we have a lot of double blood and double wild cards in this deck, so playing extra resources helps with that too. And look at that. We got a Spring Dancer here, which I think I'm just going to go ahead and take. Yeah. So Spring Dancer is a 2/2 for 2. That creates Valor when it comes into play. This is one of the best wild commons in set 5. The format's a little bit slower now and clunks up slightly more, but I still think this card is very good. Especially if we get a couple more of them, it makes this Apprentice Earthcaller very playable. Probably one more Dancer and we'll just like snap off playing the Earthcaller because we'll have like 3 Valor producers. Alright, so there's another Spring Dancer. Here's a Death's Head Rider, though. This card's very good. So, like, we have this Arco Glider in here, which is a 2/2 flight for 3 with double blood threshold. This is a 2/3 flight for 3 with double blood threshold. And on deploy, you can scrounge 2 to make each opponent sacrifice a troop. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stake the Death's Head Rider since it's the uncommon here. It's technically removal, and it's just, like, a reasonably statted card. I would be, for very lucky, the Spring Dancer that was in that pack is going to wheel back around to us, so we have another quality 2-drop, but, you know, won't be too surprised if it doesn't. We don't really have too many ways to sacrifice things in our deck, so I don't think Naive Lackey is particularly good. We're just going to, like, get stuck with it on board a lot of the time. I think we're actually light enough on removal that the Sapper's Wallbuster is reasonable. It's kind of clunky and expensive, but it is actually a form of reach since it can deal its damage to an opposing champion. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and grab that here. I don't think Bleak Blade Pist or Thorn Pup are particularly good either. I think we're in the market for that kind of effect. I'm going to bin the Yazucan Fanatic for now. I don't think we're that aggressive. We kind of want to sit and wait in the early game and then like close out in the late game with like our Mosh Pit Gladiators and our other bombs that we have up here. What's good in here? Huh. I want another 5-drop bomb, because this is a 3/3 for 5 that creates 3 Valor. So basically, it's 6 power for 8 resources, but you get to spread the power out as you see fit. I don't think that's good enough. This Taste for Blood's actually pretty good. So target troop gets +2/+2 on life drain permanently, and whenever a troop you control attacks this in your hand, it gets -1 cost. So I think I'm going to pick that up. It's just like the type of card that can like steal games. Nothing particularly exciting in this pack for us. I'm going to go ahead and take this Fireball to cut someone who's hoping to get good Ruby cards off of it. And remember, this is a 7 cost, but every time we control attacks, it gets smaller, so it's really not a 7 in terms of our curve, which is nice. We saw Dread Botanist earlier. Would love it if that came back around. It would be good at enabling Scrounge for a few cards that Scrounge. And it'd be good at enabling Assault for the Taste for Blood. What we got here? So we got a Spoil. To revert target troop gets -1/-1. That's probably fine. I don't think we're going to main deck that. We'll probably board it in at some point. There's nothing else in here on Shard, so we'll pick that up. This thing's being lack of a quick action is kind of a letdown. This card would be insane if it was a quick action, actually, because you'd be able to undo combat tricks with it. Things like Grandfather Elk you could effectively counter. So at 24 cards right now. 18 resources with the Tilling the Soil is probably fine. We'll see where exactly we end up at here. Got a few more cards to come back around. Come on, let's wheel that Botanist and that Spring Dancer. Would be great. I'm not greedy. I'll take one or the other. I think we'd actually like the Botanist more in this deck. This is a 4/3 that costs 1 but requires triple Wild Threshold. I don't think that's going to be particularly playable for us. Prejudice is a 4-cost const at the start of each turn. If you control an Underworld troop, each opposing champion discards a card. Maybe the format's grindy enough that this is good. I'm going to grab this for the reserves for now. I don't know if we're going to... Probably not going to main deck this, but I guess if we played against something like Ada that kind of tries to go long, that might be reasonable. Do we have enough Underworld troops to enable it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... This is kind of an Underworld troop. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, probably. Blackfire Sorcerer came back around here. This is a 3/1 socketable miner. So you could put the can't be blocked by troops except by troops with power greater than or equal to. So it'd be unblockable by like 1 and 2 power dorks. That's probably boardable. Against a deck like Ada can come in. Root Wrangler is actually reasonable here. The difference between 3 and 4 power is pretty huge. So this one, again, like Mosh Pit Gladiator and the Blackfire Sorcerer, you can put a gem in it that says it can't be blocked by troops with power less than it. So this would have to be blocked with 4 or more, which is pretty reasonable. And for like a 4 power guy that's like pseudo evasion, hits hard and closes the game pretty quickly. Grab another... I'm going to grab a Patrol Bot for the board, actually. Just in case we come up across something that has a lot of flying troops in it. It can be reasonable at blocking. It doesn't attack well into Ada, but just like blocking their 2/2s in the air is reasonable a lot of the time. And we're at a point where we need to cut at least one thing. It's probably the Sanguine Boon. Although the Boon's really good with Bushy here. On that particular exciting here, I'm going to take the Guppy Gloves. That's a piece of removal that I'd rather not play against. What's our cut going to be? Maybe it's this Gallant Sentinel. Although I guess we said if we didn't get another Valor guy, we'd cut the Apprentice Earthcaller, right? That seems reasonable. That's probably fine. Having more 4s is fine, because that way our Till the Soil can jump us up to a relevant amount more often. Alright, doesn't look like our Dread Botanist or other Spring Dancer came back around. Sad day. I think this is going to be it. Seems reasonable. Probably just go 8/8 on the resources since we got one of each of these. So at the end of the last draft video, I kind of gave a letter grade to the deck and like how I felt it was, because I've drafted that archetype a lot. I haven't drafted Blood Wild a ton, especially not a non-Dreadlings version of the archetype. So I'm just going 9 and 9 in the resource base here. Over here in the cost, you can do a quick double check to kind of feel like what what do you need exactly. And actually, and this is why it's worth looking at, I think looking at our resource base here, we probably want more blood than anything, right? So if you look over here, I've got double blood on 2, double blood on 3, and my first double wild isn't until 4, and then 5. So I think I'd actually rather go 10, 9 blood and 7 wild, which with my coins gives me 10 and 8, which I think is fine. We can also check the resources here. We actually have slightly more wild than blood cards, so I can see an even split being right, but I think I'm gonna favor blood on this. As far as champions go, I think I want to play Renner. He just has a high starting life total, and his ability lets me draw a card off my opponent's deck, which I think is super reasonable. The high starting life total is not to be understated, especially in a deck like this that has a higher curve and wants the game to go a little bit longer on average, I think. At any rate, thank you for stopping by for another daily draft video. Remember to drop me a comment below if these are something you're enjoying, so I keep doing them. If you want to support my content in any way, you could do so by buying Hex TCG cards from hexprimal.com using that code Jeff5 there. It'll save you 5% on your order there, as well as support my content. You can also support by becoming a subscriber on Twitch for $4.99 a month, or becoming a patron on Patreon for varying amounts, and there's information about all of that down in the video description below. Thanks for hanging out, folks.